along the way, you know. Obviously, you get newer guys like Kendrick and J. Cole,
Hmm.
and you know, like guys like Royce that I've always been a big fan of. Production wise, Dre, DJ Premier, definitely DJ Premier. He's probably my favorite producer. You know,
Just remember that J. Cole. I'm gonna ask you something, but go ahead.
okay,
All right.
but definitely like Primo. Like a couple of I've only so far I've only released three, you know, three releases. Two of them were like 90s style beats, like boom bap beats. One of them was kind of like Primo slash Pete Rock inspired. Another one was like a RZA from Wu Tang inspired.
Okay.
But I mean, honestly, I just love good music, man. You know, Bob Marley. I listen to a lot of Bob Marley, so it's not just hip hop. I listen
Yeah.
to, you know, Michael Jackson, like anybody that's great that makes good music. Pretty much, the only thing I never really get into is country music.
Yeah.
You know, I never really like country. Not never really get into like heavy metal, but
Hmm.
otherwise, like for the most part, you know, I appreciate it all.
Never say never.
Yeah. Hey, you
Because
never know. It could
eventually
change. It could change. It could change.
something may trigger. You know, using that using all genres. You know, and
Absolutely.
I mean, who would have who would have thought that with the song "Walk This Way," who would have thought that
Yeah.
collaboration would have happened, right?
That was a huge hit for them too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Absolutely.
so, but I actually you just mentioned J. Cole, right?
Yep.
And was it Jamal Jamal Malcolm Warner from Bill Cosby?
Yes, I saw this. I already
You
know what
seen
you're
that?
gonna. I
You
saw it.
know, and so and when I thought about it, I was like, all right, I probably would have said the same thing, you know, the N word, you know, the B word, and but it was an interesting article. It's a conversation piece, right?
Yep. Okay.
And then the other thing with J. Cole is that little beef he had, right?
Yes.
So the dude is people are paying attention to him, right? And
Absolutely.
he ain't really doing he's doing some things, but he's not really he's just kind of what he just had a show somewhere. But he don't mind this. He's making money.
Yeah.
He's making money off these conversations. The analytics are going up. Everything's going up, and he doesn't mind that, right? So if you want to talk about, you know, what you dislike about him, and you may have stopped or just took him off the playlist, I get that. The bottom line, he's going to continue to do what he's doing because
Absolutely.
those zeros are repeating itself,
I mean, yeah, he's doing pretty good for
you know,
himself, you know.
and
But he's also he's he's a really talented guy though,
yeah,
you know. And it is funny because like I mentioned, obviously, like Tupac is out of everybody's probably my number one influence.
hmm,
Like I think if you would ask J. Cole, Tupac is also probably his number one influence as
yeah,
well as Kendrick.
hmm,
You know, and it's kind of funny because even before I knew that, when I started to gravitate towards their music, I realized that, you know, they were big fans of Tupac. And so it's I've always kind of thought that was funny because
hmm,
it's like the way that he influenced people, you know, just I don't know, it's just funny because it's like it's just kind of it makes sense that the people that he influenced are also the people, the newer generation
hmm,
that I like the most. So it's
yeah.
kind of I don't know, it's just kind of a funny thing.
Tupac was a beast, and I just got
Absolutely.
corrected maybe about a week ago, 2 weeks. Um, I didn't realize his career was so short.
Yeah.
Um, and that blew my mind
Yeah.
because I've always he just stayed relevant, stayed busy, and it goes to show you where his love
Yeah.
was music
Yeah.
and writing, and so I'm just thinking of all the things that would have happened with him around still,
Mm.
and how much music he would have produced or just produce himself, right? You can imagine him producing others.
Well, and so that's the thing. There's and people that were really talented, you know, I know he was allegedly going to do work with Keisha Cole at the time. She was only like 15, 16 years
Yeah.
old. He wanted to put her out. She's obviously gone on to be a successful R&B artists. Obviously, he had artists that were already working with him. Him and Nas, actually, a lot of people don't realize this. They were supposed to do a collaboration album that, unfortunately, the world never got. I can't imagine how incredible that would have been if we had gotten that. And but he was really getting heavy into acting at the time. I think that was a spot where he wanted to make a stamp. And if you listen to his last interviews, one of the things that's probably the most sad about the whole thing is that he talked a lot about getting into politics, getting more back into his roots, which was, civil rights,
True.
things of that nature. And he even said, like, to quote him, he was like, God willing, I'm alive, by the next election, we're going to have somebody sitting at the table. And obviously, unfortunately, a couple months later, I think that might have even been his last interview. It might have been a couple weeks later. He was passed away. But so he was really trying to, community centers. He was trying to start like some of the things that people are doing now. Snoop Dogg did the football league, with the youth. That was actually Tupac's idea. And the funny thing is, I don't know if anybody gave him credit for it, because I kind of feel like Snoop and Tupac had a little bit of a falling out, and there might have been some jealousy there. But, it's at the end of the day, like I said, though, he still had his impact where he's inspired these new artists. His mom, obviously, in his passing, was able to take money that he had generated. They started the school for the children down in Atlanta, and had that for a number of years. So there was obviously still a lot of great things. But yeah, I mean, his first album came out in 91. By 96, he had passed away and he did a year in jail. So that's really only 4 years where the 6 or 7 movies that we've seen him in, all the music videos, all of the albums that came out, the books of poetry that we've seen, like all of that stuff was predominantly generated in that 4-year time span. And that really is amazing that at 25, like I look at some of the interviews that he had, and I would think most people would consider me a fairly smart guy. And I'm like, I still watch his interviews. So I'm like, wow, this guy is like incredible. Like he still knows stuff at 25 that I'm like, I'm about to be 42 and I still like, hold on, let me go do some research.
It's amazing because
it was amazing.
I watch all of them too. I was really into a lot of the especially the investigation of his death and Biggie's death. Reading everything, or viewing everything, all the videos on YouTube that I could from everywhere, from Vlad TV to
he definitely went down the rabbit hole
to a lot of other. There was a couple of other stories that came out, but I was really into it. And you talked about them having a Tupac and Snoop having a beef. Well, I always thought Snoop knew a whole lot more than he was saying or they were trying to portray. And and that was a lot of argument between me and others. It's and then I switched up this past year with Snoop, and I just kind of let it be. I've seen some good positive things. One is the football, and it kind of, I said, all right, I can live with this, right? But anyways, let's get to you, right?
Okay.
You're in the studio first time. Well, all right. Let me go back a little bit. Let's talk about writing, right?
Okay.
You writing. I'm a writer, and and I could be anywhere, and I just start writing things. I don't know about you, but what gets you to write your music or your song or all your lyrics? What inspires you? Like you are the CEO of somewhere north of us, right? We're not going to get into it right now, but you're organizing something. A lot of guys around, kind of playing games and doing things. Do you find yourself writing something right then and there? Like nothing stops me from writing anywhere. Right. I'll write something.
Okay.
And I'll be in a fog. How is it for you? Do you have to be in a certain place?
It's interesting. It's kind of excuse me. It's kind of a hybrid, I would say, because the way my process is and it's kind of evolved over time. Like honestly, I probably remember. I don't know if this is the first time, but probably maybe going back to like I would say like sixth grade, something
Mm,
like that was the first time I started writing lyrics or writing rap, something like that, give or take. So it's something I've done for a very long time, but obviously I'm just now last year released, publicly my first, couple of tracks. But like when I was a teenager, I used to have part-time jobs, and sometimes I would be, like I did furniture delivery. We'd be,
mhm.
getting ready to go deliver a refrigerator to like a third floor,
Yeah.
narrow hallways or whatever. And I'd be at like right before we went in, like grab a napkin from the glove compartment and write something down on it, stuff it in my pocket, or like,
Mhm,
if I was at a store and I thought of something, I would get like a slip from the receipt from the
mhm.
register, write it down. I literally still have like somewhere along the way, I have like an old notebook. And I think even like a backpack or whatever, just like loose lyrics of things that I've written down from, decades ago. Now obviously it's like, we get our phones and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So it's easy to just jot down whatever it is right then and there. You can put it in there, you can come back to it. So I get inspired by a lot of things, like just in regular life
Mhm.
every day, or sometimes even hearing other music or based off of what's going on or something I see. Sometimes it'll literally be I'll be in the shower and I'll just think of something like, ooh, okay, that's a
Mhm.
good line.
Yeah.
I can, that's a good concept.
Yep.
I can build on this later and I'll write it down. And so in terms of like really digging, probably a lot of it I do, it's like, late night, the family goes to bed,
Yep.
I'm still up, kind of, throw on a instrumental or something like that, throw on a beat, write some stuff down or like build off of some of the things that I already had written down.
Yeah.
But I kind of almost like brainstorm and just kind of let ideas come to me at first, and then I'll lock in a more of a controlled setting.
Mhm.
But so it's
Yeah.
it's a little bit of both. But
I
if I'm
get it.
really digging in,
I get it. It it's the control setting. Like I found a nice setting for me is actually first thing in the morning, waking up and grabbing a cup of coffee and then going directly to the table, kitchen table, and write because the kitchen table has me upright, focused.
yes,
And I may have my phone in my hand or the laptop close by, and I'll be able to type and get something done.
hmm
Um, there's one thing I'm very proud of is that I wanted to put a book out and I wanted to see how fast I can do it.
yeah,
And so I did it within a few, 8 hours, kind of a work day. And
mm.
that's just from
8 hours,
scratch.
yeah, that's
And
impressive.
it was something I just kind of getting motivated. I see myself losing a little spirit, when it came to my writing. So I had to do something to kind of put me uh,
Back in that
put
headspace.
back in action. It wasn't writer's block or anything, but it just like I was kind of stepping back, and I felt I was going to stop for a while, and I'm glad I did that. It really got me motivated.
Yeah, nice.
Um, Kaz, where can we find you? Where can we find you? Um, if someone that's listening to us wants to reach out to you or hear some of your music.
I mean, if you want to listen to my music, you can find me on all streaming platforms. So I'm on Apple Music, I'm on Spotify, I'm on Tidal, I'm on Napster, I'm on pretty much everywhere. Um, it's my artist name is Cas Santos, Cas space Santos. Which is essentially my real name.
Yeah.
Shout out to my grandfather Casimiro Santos.
Mhm.
But so Cas Santos, you can find me on all streaming platforms. If you really want to support, you can purchase the songs on iTunes. Obviously streaming artists, they're really giving us pennies, not even pennies, fractions of a
Mhm.
penny
Yep.
for streaming, and Spotify, even though it's really popular, it's one of the worst for artists. So, if you want to, purchase on iTunes, that's great. You want to stream them on Apple Music, but honestly, it's like as long as you listen to music, hopefully you enjoy it. That's all I really care about. The rest of it will come. But as far as music, social medias, I got them all. It, they're a little bit different on each one.
Yeah.
Twitter at Cape Verde Kaz. On Instagram, it's at Cape Verde Kaz. On Facebook, I believe it's Kaz Santos. But I'm pretty much everywhere. TikTok, some of them more active. I'm mostly active on Twitter, Instagram, mainly, I guess, the Facebook a little bit.
Okay.
I gotta get my TikTok up there. My son's gonna help me out. He helped me make a video. I just gotta get it uploaded, but I'm not really on TikTok like that. But I know it's a good platform to be on. So you can pretty much find me everywhere. Try to if the link tree isn't attached already, we'll try to drop that in at some point.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that in there. I thought I had it on the side here. All right. We have obviously my first thing is to get you here on WNB1 radio
Mm-hmm.
and
Appreciate that.
get a lot of your music here and play it. There's a lot of different artists that here are locally that you already know.
Mm-hmm.
And a few of them have been on this podcast. I'm very proud of some of the artists locally that were just because they see each other on this podcast, on this radio station. It allowed them to collaborate and start doing things together. It's one thing that I really would like this area to do. Just south of Boston to get more involved with each other.
Absolutely.
And because let's just say that people come from this part of the country and they go other directions, down south, up north, out west, and they're doing crazy things. So when you start seeing everybody all over the place in the country, you say, well, he lived in Freetown. He lived in New Bedford. He lived in Wareham. Yeah. She lived in Dartmouth. She may have lived in Acushnet. And it goes on, and you start seeing all these people, right? And it's saying, could you imagine all these artists locally, what they produced and what they were able to create? Could you imagine the spotlight that would have been on in this area?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely talented people out here for sure.
Yep. What's your most favorite work, right? What's your favorite? Well, I don't want to do that. No, you work with too many people. I'm gonna let's scratch that, right? What one of your most memorable times when you were producing and writing? What was that one thing that kind of put a big smile on your face compared to others?
I mean, well, so let me actually go back to really quick to the last question that you had or the comment that you made, but that is something that I am personally trying to work with a lot of people from the area. I mean, we kind of briefly mentioned it before, but definitely I got people from New Bedford that I've already worked with. Mm-hmm. I got other people that I'm in the process of working with, collaboration. I'm open to work with people. I do produce as well. I don't charge for beats. Basically, like, we can figure out a royalty split, usually just like 50-50, and put it out, make money together. I'll help market, whatever. I'll help network, put people with other artists, stuff like that. But as far as collaborations that I've done, to be honest, so I guess I kind of get two answers off the top of my head. As far as like actually like making music that I was planning on really releasing, it probably is my most recent release, this Young Rakim that I put out. I put out like a little, basically what I consider a maxi single. Technically, I think if you look at it on Spotify, whatever, it's labeled as an EP, but really it's like, to me, like back in the day, you could get a single and then there'd be like a B-side or there'd be like a couple remixes on it or whatever. So that's kind of what my vision was for it. And I kind of wanted to approach it as a collaborative type of track, kind of like the way Wu-Tang used to. And in fact, I made the beat after I watched an episode of the Wu-Tang TV series. I don't know if it's on Hulu or whatever, but they got like 2-3 seasons. It was a pretty good show. and I watched an episode, and it was like young RZA, and he was like making the beat, and he got like a bunch of his boys on it, and I was like, yeah, like, because at the time I was making beats, and I was like, yeah, that'd be real dope. Like, I love to do something like that, and I made the beat, and I thought it was pretty good. Sat on it for a while, and eventually ended up sending it out to like a bunch of people. Probably took like a year and a half, maybe. I don't even know how long it was. It was a while though before I eventually got my first verse on it. And then once I got the first verse and the hook recorded, I played it for other people, and then other people were like, yo, that's dope. All right. And then now all of a sudden it was like people kind of started working on it. So I think for me, that was like the first track that really kind of came together the way I had envisioned it. And so like that was dope from that standpoint. Um, but also on the flip side, something that I've never released, but it's one of my personal favorites. I have some music that I've made with my kids. I'm trying to convince my daughter to let me put a couple out.
Yeah.
She doesn't really want me to, but I love them, man. I'm telling you, my daughter's good. She's got a couple of dope verses on a few tracks. I kind of want to remix a couple and put them out. We'll see. I'm still working on it, but I get a couple tracks that I do with my kids, and so that's something that just I'm like a big family guy. I love my kids, so that's probably might be my favorite moment. But that was really just us kind of playing around, but eventually my kids told me, when I actually put out my debut project, I think I might have a collaboration. My son kind of knows how to produce a little bit. I get a couple of beats that we co-produced together. So I'm either going to put a collaborative beat on there with the two of us. He said he might give me a verse, so we'll see. If not, either way, I'll probably have that. But I'm pretty sure I can get my daughter to maybe give me at least 8 to 16 bars. So
that's nice.
So we'll see.
That was real nice. It that's just special moments, making memories, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and also, your son's getting the experience that some adults just don't have, right? They don't have it.
I mean, I try to tell them like, hey, which obviously I never want to push them into something like just because it's something I really enjoy, and I think they have enjoyed it. But I also think that it's to be an artist, honestly, it's like a big thing to put yourself out there, because you're making something that obviously you think is good enough to release, but not everybody's going to like it.
Yeah.
And even out of the people that, not everybody's even going to like that type of thing. So if I'm making music, not everybody's going to like rap or hip hop. So that's only a sub percentage of people that are even going to mess with it. And then out of those people, do they like that type? Do they like what I'm bringing to the table? So as an artist, you're opening yourself up to, other people's opinions. You're putting yourself in a vulnerable position as far as that. So, with them being younger, that might not be something that they're like super excited to do.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I'm like, hey, your dad's got a whole recording studio. I get the business, the back end, everything's figured out. Like, all you got to do is write your verse, rap it, I'll make it sound good. We'll slap it on there, put it out, and then you're going to get royalty streams. Like, I'm not making a ton of money, but compared to a lot of the independent artists that I've talked to, I have pretty solid numbers on my streaming. I am actually making a, somewhat decent income stream, especially considering I've only got a couple of releases over the course of less than a year.
Yeah.
So it's each time I release something new, my numbers are going up, the income streams increasing. So, if I were a few years in and it's like, hey, I've got 50 songs out or 75 or 100 songs or whatever it is, I just imagine what that could potentially go to. And for the kids, hey, I mean, that's, they're teenagers. If you can get a royalty stream off of something, get your publishing checks in, I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
There's one thing I like is some artists I like, but I'm gonna just the first one I can remember is Jay Valentine, right? Tremendous artist, R&B.
Yep.
Done a lot of things in his life. It seems like he's most happy now that he's producing, and turning out a lot of music from different artists that he's discovered, um and so what I'm getting at is that I continue with that producing. um if you got to let anything go, don't ever let that go, because it's making people money, and they're older, right?
Yeah,
They're older and they're
absolutely.
still involved. They're still, there's one thing about producing, you really have to have a knack for it. And
Hmm.
I just want, hearing all those stories, especially Jade Valentine. Tank's not producing, but he allowing Jade Valentine to do a lot of his work. Um, Quincy Jones always talking about producing and all the stuff that he was doing, and getting royalties at the ripe age. Was it 91? It was he.
Mm.
He's still getting them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
He's. Yeah, I mean, Quincy Jones. He's got a hell of a catalog.
and families, there's so many different things that so many families are being taken care of based on producing. And I'm only
Absolutely.
saying
And
that
if you
because
if
that's
you
part of,
own,
yeah, that's one of your titles. So that's why I'm mentioning it. And you
yes,
you know better. You know better than I do. So
absolutely. And so as far as that's concerned, like for me, I'm making my own music because it's something that I always wanted to do. So I got a studio recording studio when I graduated from college,
mhm.
going all the way back to 2004. Unfortunately, by the time I set it up and started to learn the equipment, my girlfriend at the time,
Mhm.
ended up coming out of the bathroom talking about she was
Yeah,
pregnant.
yeah.
And I was like, oh man, like hold on a second.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was living in a small 2-bedroom condo that I had purchased in Fall River,
Mhm.
and the spare room was the studio.
Yeah.
And I had just got the studio set up. It was a nice studio too. I had it all soundproofed. Everything was nice. I had a nice mixing board. It looked really good. And then once I found out that she was pregnant, I was like, well, that's the only spare room. So I literally packed up all the studio
Yeah.
equipment, put some of it in storage. I gave some of it to back to my cousin Damien, who I had originally purchased it off of, most of the equipment. And I painted the room pink and purple,
Mhm.
and it became like the nursery,
Yeah.
ultimately my daughter's room. Um, so now I'm putting out the music just because it's something I always wanted to do. But
Yeah.
I realize like I'm 41 now, like, and in this type of game, even though nowadays there are a lot of older artists more so than there's
Mhm.
ever been, specifically in hip hop. But by the time you get to be 30, that's when the people are like, oh, you're like an old head or
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna put it out because it's something I love, it's something I enjoy doing. But and originally producing was never my goal. I taught myself how to produce because I was tired of waiting on other people,
Yeah.
and I knew I could control what I wanted to do, and it wouldn't be anybody else that was holding me up. So I taught myself how to produce, and now I actually really enjoy it. I've enjoyed producing for other people. I have a couple of artists like my cousin CJ, who was going to come by tonight. He wasn't able to make it, but we're definitely going to double back with him. CJ Groove, you can catch him as well. But I produce for him. I produce for, like I said, all the artists in the area, and I actually really enjoyed it. It's something that I know long term is going to outlive me actually making my own individual music as an artist. Because I mean, honestly, like you said, like, Quincy Jones is 91. Like this guy, Dr. Dre, is in his 60s.
Mhm.
He's still putting out new music, and he's a billionaire. It's not like he
Yeah.
has to do it, but
Mhm.
it's also opened up other avenues, and it's just something he enjoys doing. So that's the way I look at it, is like, I could be 70 years old. If you can still make a dope beat, it doesn't really matter. I could give
Yeah.
it to whoever. I can give it to somebody that's young, that is hot and popular at the time,
Yes.
and I don't have to, I can still be involved with music, but behind the scenes.
As long as you're paying attention to music, right? You stay involved. You stay uh listen to music. You know, some people kind of get in their own little solitary and don't and stay away from things and get isolated. And as long as you continue to stay involved and listen to music,
Yep.
your creativity is going to be there, and creating things that are that are up there with everybody else, you know. So
Hmm.
um, music is and beats is music, you know, and
Yeah.
if you feel it, you hear it, keep doing it. I'm actually happy to have you here. I want to do some more shows with you. Um,
Absolutely.
the music part, I really want to get that playing on the air simultaneously with a podcast,
Yep.
so you and I could talk about something which there's different things you have to do with your permissions and all the stuff you just talked about off air, and then we got to kind of collaborate something where we can kind of do a 3 hour thing with you and everything you're involved in and
Okay.
kind of play it,
Sure.
back, just kind of have that Kaz Santos showcase,
Okay. Sounds
or the
good.
production, and kind of have CJ Smooth over there and a few others all around this table.
Hmm.
Might not be seen or visible, but we keep the pretty people on this side,
Yeah.
right? Ugly people on that
Yeah.
side,
Fair
right?
enough. Fair enough.
And but there's other things we're gonna end up doing here in the studio, so you'll have a multitude of cameras around, and so we'll be able to access this whole room here,
Yeah.
and everyone will be seen on the podcast through Facebook and the website WNB1.com. So everything will be on there, and we'll be able to do that very very soon, I heard.
Cool.
So um, let, let's talk about this, right? Every year I have to get one of these. It's a tradition.
Okay.
Now, not every year do I end up going to the Father's Day event hosted by B Mags, WNB1 Radio, but this T-shirt, right? 24/7 Dad.
Hey, I
And on the
appreciate
back
that.
of it, right? I'm gonna read it. You can't see it, but I'm gonna read it. It says, "Any man can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad." June
Absolutely.
16th. That's so. That's it's. Some people don't understand that, right? They don't understand it, and I love being a dad,
Me too.
and I seen you in action, so I know you do too. Um, but that's traditionally from your family, right?
Yeah.
It's the guys in your family, they're close knit, right? They're doing a lot of things.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm gonna share a little story here about me and Kaz's family, right? Now, his mom was raised in this town that I kind of hung out and lived for 2 years,
Really?
and that was Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know. I didn't know
So
you had connections
yeah,
to Fort Walton. Okay.
so great time in my life. I had some great time. 2 years there. Went to high school at Choctaw,
Okay.
um, and amazing. So
Absolutely.
now getting introduced to your mom, we start having conversation, and then we found that in common. So that was like an
Yeah.
instant
Absolutely.
connection. It was like, I don't need to know anything more about you. I love you already. And we talked about many, many things. And so um, shout out to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I
Absolutely.
miss my people down there. They're all spread out now. So if I go down there, I'm not going to find my friends that I did have because they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, Atlanta, Georgia has become an attraction. So a lot of people went in that direction or
Mm.
further south and southern Florida. So, but anyways, that's a story I didn't share with you and I wanted to share with you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I didn't realize that you
Yeah.
had connections to Fort
Yeah.
Walton. I mean,
Hmm.
we used to go down there like every year when I was a kid, and we used to have to do clean up my grandmother's yard and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was a good city, man. And I still actually have some of the people, like the family that lived next door to my grandmother's house.
Hmm.
I still talk to
Good.
the kid that was closest to my age
Mm.
that lived there and stuff like that. So yeah. And my aunt, she actually moved from Miami up to Fort Walton, so she's out there now
Yeah.
and stuff. But yeah.
We two 2-3 weeks ago, I connected with a friend of mine that I haven't seen over 40 years, and he was from Fort Walton, and we connected. So we took an oath that we're gonna call each other every 2-3 weeks
Okay.
and connect, and only because that's too far. We and then instantly in that conversation we connected like we didn't miss any time.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
so and that's called love, man.
Absolutely.
The All right, let's see. I wanna ask you one question I ask all my guests.
Okay.
Who would you like to see on the Really Charlie podcast or hear on the Really Charlie podcast?
Okay. I mean, so definitely, and this is something we already, kind of talked about, but obviously I definitely have some of my artists that I'm working with that
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see on here. And definitely some people from New Bedford and the surrounding area, like we're talking about, like, just to kind of all big each other up and network with each other and there's a lot of talent out there. So first and foremost, I gotta say my cousin CJ Groove. Definitely want to see him on here. My boy TFB Breezy, he's from the area. He does a lot of work out in Providence.
Okay.
He does a lot of shows and stuff like that. But he's a good artist. He's got music out. My boy Clyde Bunker, he was on the first track that I did. He's from Fall River. He's a good dude, a Portuguese dude that I met years ago. Was big into hip hop, and we just always, stayed connected. My boy Eric, he's on the remix. Two of the remixes with me on my Young Rakim track. He goes by the name Hush. It's Hush Hush. So I mean, really all of them for sure. And then there's some other people like pretty much any of the artists I'm working with. If the opportunity's there, I mean, why not? It's kind of like a good for them, obviously, to get them out there. Expose them to people in New Bedford, and hopefully, in the process, any of the followers that we have will come over and they'll, become regulars on the Really Charlie podcast with, viewership and stuff like that. So, I mean, I could go on. I don't know how long of an answer you want, but
no, we can
pretty much everybody.
Yeah. I mean, with this day and age, there's so many things we can do. Sometimes with when you start doing podcasts with groups, we can never get the connection or the time right as far as coming into studio.
Yeah, I can.
But feel free, we can stream and send links and connect people and have a multitude of people right on the screen. And I know it's over 5, that we can do, and so we can do something like that, and I like to do that very soon.
Sounds good.
And get that going. But we have one other thing that we have to do first, and that's the horseshoe league. I definitely want to do that.
Absolutely.
Before I do anything with you,
absolutely, because defending champ right here.
Yeah.
Shout out to my cousin Devin. You know what I'm saying? Devin Santos.
Yeah. So
the champ.
I can't wait. Y'all are gonna love that podcast when I'm kind of live in the arena and interviewing and talking to people. Not everybody wants to be filmed, but I'm gonna be there.
I know some of the old school guys might not want to, but hey, some might want to get their chance. A few of them they'd like to talk their little smack and whatnot. Yep. So give them the platform. There's definitely a lot of local legends that have been around.
Give me a square table with 2 chairs, and guess what? I'll leave it open. Anyone that wants to get interviewed, we can kind of do it live and get them some notoriety, some highlights. I mean, we all know about it,
of course.
The league speaks for itself. And pitches are amazing, right? Pitches are amazing. And
19th season.
Yeah, see.
19th season started. The first official season was 2006. And they had like a couple of years where they did like local tournaments. But I mean, that's 2 decades. That's pretty impressive for something that started as like a backyard thing with like a couple of neighborhood guys, So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Family and friend tradition that's been going on for a while, and now that I think of it, yeah, 19 years. That's
Yeah, it's a long time.
but you know what? It's even longer than that, right? Because you guys were doing something before that,
Yeah,
right?
but it, like officially the league is 19 years, but yeah, there was probably at least like 3-4 years prior to
Yep.
that where they
Yep.
were doing, you know,
So
different
true.
types of tournaments and whatnot. So
All right. Um, let's see. Well, I definitely it's 7:04, and I want to at least kind of close with something, some kind of message you want to give to people that out there that may be fans of yours, or future fans of yours, and also the way the position you're in now, you're a mentor, and you probably
mm,
don't even realize it.
mm.
So, what advice would you give to someone as a mentor?
Okay, as a mentor, or I guess this is like an artist, or from my experience. I mean,
Yeah.
one thing I would probably say is honestly is like if it's something that you enjoy doing, if it's something that you wanted to do, then you should just do it regardless. Like that's kind of like my story. Is like I said, I mean, obviously it's like my life got derailed. I wanted to make music, and I was always into music and basketball. Those were like my two big things. I wanted to make music, ended up having kids, needed to make sure I took care of my household, because that was priority number one for me. But I'm doubling back and I'm doing something that I want to do that I enjoy, and my family's supportive. But I think for a lot of artists along the way, people that I've talked to, it's like they don't necessarily get the support from people that they want or whatever, and people get discouraged, and or just life happens. There's a lot of artists, sometimes people will be on, like there's artists that I work with, and it's like 1 month they're like working on banging out 2, 3, 4 songs, and then a couple months it's like nothing's going on. It's like, oh man, this happened and that happened. We all have stuff going on. But if it's something that's your dream, if it's something you're passionate about, something you enjoy, like just do it. Make sure you
Mhm.
double back, and
True.
give yourself that opportunity.
Yeah, because there's so many things going on. Like you said, we don't know what's going on in some people's lives that kind of put them to um, that quick stop,
And
and
some of
say,
them really talented,
yeah,
really
yeah.
talented.
Um, some of the artists around here are not financially fit, So how would you help out one of those artists that come to you?
I mean, like I said, like as far as the way everybody that I've worked with, we do royalty splits. And
Yeah,
I make it a point to know all the different ways that an artist can get paid. So I register all my songs with publishing. Like we own everything. I register all my songs with all the different, ways that you can get publishing checks. I make sure I get my music on all platforms. And I just kind of do basic stuff that honestly the average person, I would say, probably doesn't do. And so far I've had some success. So if somebody, is out there, if you're from the local area or wherever, if you're watching this, you can feel free to reach out to me on any of my platforms. I'm willing to collaborate with people. Like I said, I don't charge money up front for beats. I don't charge for anything, honestly, which is kind of
yeah,
crazy. I've had
yeah.
people try to pay me for beats. I've had people try to pay me for studio time, people trying to pay me for engineering, but it's just the way I am. Like, if you want to make music, like we'll collaborate on something, and I'll do whatever I can on my end, and we'll put it out, and we'll make money together.
All right, cool. That's good. That's real good. Um, got Joshua. Looks like it's Hetzler. Hetzler.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Sorry.
Hetzler. Hey, shout out to my
Yeah.
boy Josh Hetzler.
What's up,
Hetzler,
man?
he goes by the name Florian. He's got 2 songs that he just put out that's throwback. I get a song that I'm producing for him. He's actually a firefighter out in
Hmm.
Fall River.
Very nice.
But he's an artist. He's got music coming. He's friends with my boy Clive Bunker, Brian, for people that know him. That's how I met Josh. But Josh is a good dude.
Love it. Thanks, Josh, for joining us here on WNB1 Radio, and it looks like he's checking us out through YouTube, and amazing. Love it.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. Love it. All right. Well, Kaz, you and I are lifetime friends right here, so we got a lot of things to do. one of the things I want to do is do a podcast, and even if it's a podcast where I'm sitting on the side and you're kind of hosting it, right?
Okay.
And kind of just throwing out things to you and your friends, your associates, and kind of going at, we can do that, you know.
Okay.
That's Yeah, it's the Really Charlie podcast. But guess what? You can host a show for that. You know, you may have something that you want to do and
Okay.
talk about, an issue, or whatever it may be, you know, or just music, you know.
Yeah. Hey, music, basketball.
Yeah,
Shout out to the Celtics, about to be
that's
2024
nice.
champions. You know what I'm saying?
I can't
Two
wait.
two more games to go, but I don't
Yeah,
want to get ahead of myself.
yeah. It's
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much whatever. I mean, you know, people that know me know that, you know, I can talk. So
well,
so it's pretty much whatever, you know.
that's what we're gonna do. And I mean, feel free if you see that, you know, between you've seen something on any of my podcasts, and when I'm, you know, I may talk about something you're interested, just hit me up, and then we'll put you on as a co-host. And that's with everything that I'm doing, any podcast, you know, whether it's here, the Really Charlie podcast, or if it's Fentanyl Facts and Stories,
Okay.
or even the Say What podcast. Me and my buddy Phil Young doing that. We do that every Monday at 7:30.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is just send me a text, invite me, and I'll put you on the screen.
Okay.
So, but your music is definitely, what's there? Got one more message. You can't forget people that are listening to us. My guy.
Hey,
Casey
that's my guy, Kellen, right there. That's my guy right there. That's my boy.
That's
I play basketball with Kellen every Thursday. Every Thursday, I run out the Fairhaven Rec Center. So anybody that wants the ball, you can come through and ball with us. Kellen, he's a serious dude on the basketball court. Anybody from the area already knows about his reps. So
it. The host, I known him since he was very young, and he was talented at a young age.
And Kellen's got a podcast too.
Yeah, he is.
Kellen's got a podcast.
Yo,
Definitely
but
check
listen.
that out.
Yo, but listen.
Yo, but listen. Definitely tap into that.
He's a slacker. You better get on the air a little bit more, man. We love listening to you, Kellen. You got to get on the air. You know, I know they were doing some renovations and doing some major things. So, but we need to hear your voice. You know, we need you to set Silky straight, you know, because, you know, you're the only one that can do it, man. Only one. Kellen, shout out to you. One of my favorite basketball players.
Absolutely.
Loves watching him play. And you know what? He's not only talented, he's also academically talented. You know, he does his thing, you know.
And he's just like, Kellen's a good dude, man, where you talk about mentors and stuff like that. Like, he's the type of guy where if he sees a younger kid and he's balling, and it's something that he sees the love and the passion, like he's willing to share his knowledge, take time out of his, you know, schedule to, you know, to drop some jewels on him and stuff like that. So I definitely appreciate Kellen for that, for sure.
He's coaching some girls this winter.
Yeah, so, man, does his thing.
Yep.
And matter of fact, I'm waiting to see. I don't know what's going on with that basketball league. Kellen's was in the championship. I was trying to pull up to the game, but they rescheduled. You know, because I was in the 35 and older league. Unfortunately, I had a knee surgery. You know, I was on the gold team. We weren't really that good, but the 2.0 league that they got now, Kellen's on the gold team.
All right.
And they got to the finals. I think the series is split 1-1, but something happened, you know, with the you know, with the gym, I guess having it reserved or whatever, the staffing, something like that. But hopefully they get that series finished up soon.
That's it. We can have a game anywhere, you know.
Absolutely.
Make sure you finish that season off. Finish that season up.
Yep.
And go ahead, Kellen. Go gold. I was a Gold House person, you know, at the high school.
Yeah.
And Gold House #1.
Okay.
And, so anything gold, I love already. So it's nice.
Nice. What's up?
All right, everyone. This is Charlie Perry of the Really Charlie podcast here on WNB1 Radio. And you can find us at WNB1.com. It's my man, Kaz. Kaz, where can we find you one more time? Let's leave that out there in the air.
If you want to listen to my music, you can catch me on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, title wherever. Socials, you can catch me on Twitter at Cape Verde Kaz, Instagram at Cape Verde Kaz, Facebook, etc. Kaz Santos. And other than that, I'm always around. If you're in the New Bedford area, I'm always around. So
awesome. All right, and I will be sharing everything that you have on the
Appreciate
Facebook
it.
group, on
Appreciate
the
it.
pages that I have, and get it all out there. I actually made a reel with one of your songs. You didn't see it?
I think I don't know. Did I
Think
I think I did.
Yeah. So
I think
anyway, I'm
I'm
gonna
pretty
share
sure I
that to
did.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I did, and
So
I shared it. But
yeah.
if not, I'll have to do that, or maybe I'll just reshare it anyway.
All right. All right, y'all. Thank you very much for
Thank
joining
you.
us on WNB1 Radio, 262 Union Street, New Bedford, Mass, in the fabulous downtown New Bedford. Feel free. We're always ready to have you on the air. So if you want to come on the air on this podcast, just send me an email, reallycharliepodcast@gmail.com. And also go to the page, WNB1.com. And there's a message area that you can leave a message and reach out to us. So don't forget, Thursday nights we have Straight to the Point Sports Talk. That's 6 p.m. to 8 Eastern Time. And we also have Frequency Live. That's on Sundays. That is amazing show. They talk about many subjects that we are seeing that are trending, and that's Berto Carter, Jasmine Vasconcelos, Derek Demers, Joe Carrion doing their thing on Sundays. We have Luxury Tax that is coming up with many episodes. They'll be coming up soon. Yours truly, the Really Charlie podcast. And let's see, am I missing anything else?
Can I give a quick shout out?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to give a super quick shout out. Shout out Saint Gang, Amy, Kazi, KK.
Awesome. Love it. All right, y'all. Talk to you later. God bless. And check me out next Tuesday, 6 p.m.